Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by Dr. Syed Ahmed, the climate change and sustainable development expert. Doctor, a very good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for joining us. Doctor, first and foremost, let's talk a bit about the objectives of the Egypt Forum for International Cooperation and Development Finance, sir.
This forum for finance is very important because it sheds the light, projects the light on the importance of the issue of finance to address the problem and the threats of climate change. So it was very important that there should be a coordination and cooperation between the developed countries,
yes,
in order to be able to make their commitments towards the developing countries regarding the issue of finance and also the technology transfer and the capacity building. So all of these need finance. And finance is a very important tool to address the climate change and to assist the developing countries and the poor countries to be able to combat climate change through utilizing the low emission technologies and also the technologies that can be suitable for the adaptation to climate change threats in the developing countries.
Dr. Syed, let's talk a bit about, how this forum can contribute to the transition from words to actions, especially when it comes to the field of environmental preservation, sir.
Yes, because in the COP26 in Glasgow in UK, the developed countries have pledged the suitable amounts of finance, but these were only pledges, not real money to real finance to the developing countries. So in the importance of the COP27 comes from the point that Egypt and all the developing countries want to change the pledges from just pledges into a real action on the ground. Meaning that because at least the pledge of 100 billion US dollar for developing countries even was not done as committed, only about 5% of this amount. That's why it's very important to coordinate with the developed countries, also with the financial institutions and the organizations all over the world, and to stress on these developed countries in order to change their bridges into real actions and real financing the assistance to the developing countries, like the African countries and also the countries in Asia and in Latin America that need this amount of these pledges of money, of finance, to be realistic on the ground.
Indeed, especially because Africa as a continent doesn't contribute much to, climate change or the deterioration of climate conditions, yet it is one of the most affected continents by this phenomenon.
Yes, this is the dilemma really, because all the reports mention that Africa, the African countries, and Africa as a continent is only sharing with about 4.5 percent of the total emissions in the world.
Yes.
In the same time, Africa is the most continent that will be hardened and that will be beaten by the threats of climate change. And in the same time, it means that Africa continent should receive the most importance of the international finance in order to assist this continent to restore its its ability to address climate change and to adapt to climate change issues.
Absolutely. Now, Egypt, Doctor, represents a very distinguished model, in the African continent for sustainable development, especially in the field of environmental preservation. Tell me a bit about the most important achievement, with regards to sustainable development that Egypt has achieved so far, Doctor.
Egypt is a leader in the African continent. Because Egypt, since many years, have committed itself to support the African countries and also to combat, in addition to, of course, sharing the efforts in the climate change negotiations until now. And in the same time, Egypt has released and has conducted the strategy of climate change 2050. And there are many strategies and legislations in order to pave the way for the efforts regarding sustainable development to be done in Egypt. Egypt has also carried out many mega projects regarding the renewable energy, increasing the share of renewable energy in the energy mix of Egypt to be 20% by 2020, and they reach to 42% by 2035. And at the same time, increasing the energy efficiency efforts, like using the LED bulbs and the efficient motors in the industry, the cleaner fuels in the industry, using the natural gas also instead of the fossil fuel in the transport system, changing the transport system into a sustainable transport using the metro underground and also monorail, also the electrified train. All these types of public transport that will decrease the amounts of the greenhouse gases. At the same time, in the field of the agriculture, Egypt also has introduced climate smart agriculture and sustainable agriculture using the modernized systems for irrigation, and is also the new types of cultivars that can withstand higher temperature and salinity, making paving the canals in the agriculture farming, the water canals, and instead also in addition to that, regarding the integrated water management.
Yes.
Also, we have make the wastewater recycling in order to utilize if each drop of water once and again, and for the benefit, of course, of the agriculture and for the benefit of use in different sectors of all our water resources, because Egypt have scarce resources really, and is considered as one of the countries that have no sufficient water resources. For each capita should at least be 1,000 meter cube of water, but Egypt now it's about 500 only, which means that it's not sufficient, and we have to utilize each drop of water
that we have
in our water resource.
Absolutely, Egypt indeed showing, a working model for sustainable development and the use of renewable energy. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Dr. Sayed Sabry, our climate change and sustainable development expert. Thank you so much, sir, for your insight and for joining us on today's edition of Cairo Local Time. And another short break, and we'll be back for more. Do stay tuned.